Civil War by Alex Garland may be one of the best war movies of all time. Certainly one of the top 5 anti-war movies. And that doesn't mean I think you should run out and see it. Uh, it's a very brutal movie. It's not a movie I would recommend to most people. Um, you got to know what you're getting into. So I want to just say, yeah, go see it. Now, what am I comparing this to? What do I think is good? Um, Saving Private Ryan, Thin Red Line, Gallipoli, The Light Horseman, Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge over the River Kwai, Rescue Dawn, The Deer Hunter. Um, these are great war movies. I think the greatest war movie of all time is Come and See. Now I know that some conservatives are probably worried that this movie is just liberal biased, bashing conservatives. But from the little I have read about this movie, people who are more on the liberal side are upset that the movie is not clear enough on who the bad people are and who the good people are. So this movie does not take sides. Now, part of the reason I wanted to see this movie is because I've made 2 very low budget feature films, and both of those movies that I have made have taken place in an America that exists after there has been a civil war, which has, for the most part, destroyed American society. So it's something that I've been thinking about for actually quite a few years, and I'm not stupid enough to think that somehow uh, Alex Garland plagiarized any of my ideas. Anyways, so that's part of why I was interested in the movie, wanted to watch it. I was not expecting it to be this good. I didn't know that the movie was about, I didn't know that the movie was focused on a group of journalists, specifically a photojournalist who is a war photographer. I didn't know that that was the focus of the story, but that choice is very interesting because that's why we're not really told who the good guys or the bad guys are in the story. The journalists are not taking a side. They just want to show whoever is interested what is happening. They just want to get a good picture. They just want to document the war. It's hard to tell what their real reasons are for this, other than there is the mention that part of the reasons that part of the reasons they would have been war photographers to begin with, going over and documenting war in other countries, was to show how horrible it was, so that people would realize, oh, this is terrible, we shouldn't do this, and we certainly don't want to have a civil war here in America. But of course, then the point is that nobody paid attention. And here we are having those same terrible things happening in America, and that Americans are capable of the same kinds of atrocities. We're just like everybody else. This is also one thing that makes the movie so powerful, is that by having it be a civil war in modern day America, we don't get to be distant from it. Zero Dark 30, when they raid Osama bin Laden's compound and they kill Osama bin Laden, I found that to be a pretty disturbing scene. When you see that kind of thing happening to the American president, it hits you in a very different way. And again, let me emphasize, you are not told the politics of that president. You don't know what side that president is on. And it's pretty smart that the main force that is attacking Washington, D.C., and that is attacking the government is a coalition of California and Texas. Okay, right now, generally most people would think California be a more liberal state, Texas be a more conservative state. How would these two ever join up in a coalition to fight against the federal government? I mean, that's the point. It's not about what side you are on right now. It's about what would it look like if we actually were stupid enough to allow something like that to happen in this country. So I think one of the main things this movie is saying is that journalists and by extension other artists like the director who's made this movie, um, their job is to show people, not to tell them what to think, but to just show them what is happening, um, show them what they think that they should pay attention to, um, and try to tell them what they think is important for them to look at. But ultimately, it's up to you to do something with that information. From an artist's point of view, or I would say a journalist's point of view, I'm not a journalist, but I do think I'm an artist. I would say this movie is actually pretty depressing. You have these photojournalists who are obsessed with making beautiful and powerful, moving, emotionally moving, capturing, emotionally moving and visually beautiful images of people being killed and killing. And they are more obsessed with getting the shot and getting a beautiful shot than they are with who's doing the killing or who's being killed. Um, they don't seem to be too worried about that. Just like this movie, it's not necessarily worried about who's doing the killing and who's being killed and who's right and who's wrong, as I've said this multiple times. Um, it's just presenting this in a artistically beautiful, I mean, the thing is a masterpiece in so many different ways, that a person could break down. Like the sound design in this movie is absolutely incredible. The visuals of the movie are absolutely incredible. The editing, and I mean, from an artistic point of view, the movie is incredibly beautiful. But from a subject matter, the subject matter is, it's absolutely horrific and disgusting. Um, and that's what that's what the journalists are doing, you know, capturing in an artistic way something that is so incredibly disgusting and disturbing. And why? Why? What's the point? Which would be also the same thing for the director of the movie. I mean, thankfully, it's all make believe and it's not real, but still, why is he doing this? I mean, why is he putting so much effort and energy into making something so beautiful about something that is so horrible, and that I am sitting here telling you, you probably shouldn't go and see this because it is not a fun time at the movies. Um, and he doesn't even tell you who to vote for. I mean, what's the point? And in the end, probably even most of the people that see this movie um, will take very little time to reflect upon it, and it will have very little lasting impact on this world. Um, it'll be treated as most art, which is simply something to be consumed, enjoyed, and quickly forgotten about. I will simply say to end this, some people I know are wondering, you know, do we need a movie like this in such a time where there's so much division and so much tension and so many people who are so angry at each other? Is something like this going to actually like rile people up and make them more angry and make them more likely to do something violent. And I don't know how anybody could watch this movie and come away with thinking that a civil war is a good idea. So I definitely think this is a good movie for now, at this time in our country. Not that everybody needs to go and see it, but overall, I think this is a good thing. It's a masterpiece as a work of art, and it can definitely be a positive thing because it is an anti-war movie.